welcome, Wrestlebuddies. This is the three-peat. We've done 3 of these this week. This is Meet the Wrestlebuddies, and today we are here to shoot the shit with Bam. How are we doing today, Bam?
I'm good. Tired, which is funny because all I did was nap.
Yeah, my roommate likes to tell me that sleeping too much makes you more tired. I don't see it, but
I think it's a legitimate thing, but I really like sleep, so I'm not gonna complain too much. I like sleep. Sleep is good.
Sleep is always good.
Sleep is the best.
I just tweeted out that we are live, so hopefully we got some more people coming into the chat.
That sounds fun and terrifying.
We are going to start off the same way that we start everything off. How did you first get brought into pro wrestling?
Okay, so the house I'm currently sitting in, I moved into when I was about 5, and I was playing in the back garden, and the boy next door, we became friends. And one day I went over to his house, and that's how I discovered pro wrestling. Although, it's funny because my cousin Sam, he's always been into wrestling, so I kind of knew who Hulk Hogan was, I knew who Jake Snake Roberts was and all that, but I didn't get into wrestling until summer of 97.
Okay.
So that was fun. Yeah, and from there I used to go over and watch wrestling and play, wrestling games and things, but I didn't have it in my house. I couldn't afford it. So I had to nip over to the neighbor's house. And then, that's how I got into wrestling. So I only watched TV.
And you said that you were brought into it around early 1997, late 96, you said?
Summer time of 97.
Okay. Do you remember what the first show that you watched was, or the first moment that you genuinely remember?
No, I remember I used to watch Raw, and I always remember The Rock and Steve Austin and Mankind. Those were my 3 that I always remember. But I don't remember anything specific because I find it really difficult to remember anything before the age of maybe 10, or before I went to secondary school, so 11, 12-ish. I find it very difficult to piece together things. I have terrible memory.
I 100% understand that. I don't remember much of my past other than the wrestling.
Yeah.
But who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Well, obviously, Stone Cold and The Rock were my favorites. And then also Mankind. I'm trying to think because I have so many different in my brain. And I really liked watching, because I don't know how I saw things. There's a lot of stuff I really remember that I'll watch something now. I'm like, oh, I've never seen this. And then I'll watch it and go, oh no, I remember this. Mm-hmm. So I must have seen it somewhere. So I really like Jake the Snake and Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage. So I go back and watch a lot of that. And towards before I stopped watching wrestling, Eddie Guerrero was my favorite, and he's still one of my favorites.
And you said he was one of your favorites towards when you started to stop watching wrestling. When did you start getting back into wrestling, or transition into different wrestling maybe?
So I'll tell you when I stopped watching wrestling, which was right after Eddie Guerrero died.
Okay.
And then I got back into it.
I'm assuming Eddie Guerrero's death was a really devastating.
Yeah, because I was also a huge Owen Hart fan as well.
And losing both of them within a couple of years, honestly,
so it was a lot. So I was at home, and I just had the TV on, and I saw this advert, and it was really freaking cool and spooky. And I was like, "What the hell is this? Is this a new film or something?" And it was the Wyatt family, and I can't remember what the pay-per-view was. And my mum knows it because she's found it, and I can never remember what one it is. But the ad was so good for it that I was like, "This is wrestling?"
Do you remember which ad it was?
No, I don't. It was for a pay-per-view. I think
Okay.
it was them versus the Shield. So it was during that time period.
Okay.
And I was really into the Shield, and before I got like properly back into watching wrestling, because before I got back into actually physically watching it, I was watching like YouTube videos like What Culture, which is crazy because I now write for them, so that's weird.
By the way, huge congratulations for that.
Thank you. I'm terrified. It's
I was about to
terrifying
say
and weird.
I would be terrified as well. They're
Yeah, it's really
huge, but
weird.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
We've got Wrestling Jeebus popping in the chat saying that you picked the best time to start watching wrestling in that 97 period was amazing.
Hmm.
Um, what what was like your favorite match from that period in your early days?
Oh my
And we
god.
also got Courtney saying, "Hey."
Oh, hi. I find it really difficult to remember. Because everything kind of blurs into one during the Attitude Era.
Okay.
It's no,
Let's go
it's
with your
really
favorite Attitude Era match.
um really bad at like remembering matches. Because I also didn't watch pay-per-views, so because I couldn't
Understandable.
afford it. So from my perspective, I've had to go back and watch all the pay-per-views, which is crazy to me. And I literally like can't think. I really loved anything The Rock and Stone Cold did together. I loved anything that Mankind did. But I actually went back and watched the Undertaker and Mankind Hell in a Cell, like the one where he fell through the roof, and I was like,
Yeah.
this isn't that great.
It's not a pretty match.
No, it's not even good. It's like,
it's
okay.
it is violence for the sake of violence.
It's not even good violence.
Yeah, Foley takes some ugly bumps in that
Yeah, and
match.
I love Foley and I love hardcore wrestling. I love death matches, and I'm just like, this is boring.
Mm.
Apart from when he falls through and like nearly dies. Um, I really like the I Quit match between him and The Rock, but also I can't watch it now because it's very uncomfortable for me because of all the headshots.
27.
There's too many. One was too many. I'm trying to think because a lot of the things I remember, even though I started watching in '97, the stuff I remember is like the Hardys, Dudleys, and Edge and Christian ladder matches. I remember Eddie Guerrero winning the title. Anything the SmackDown 6 did. I remember the Ruthless Aggression period way more. And I feel like that was the best period for WWE wrestling wise. Plus, like, Batista came in around that time. I love Batista.
And to be honest, that Ruthless Aggression era is the most memorable for me as well. That was whenever I was really growing up, getting my memories of wrestling going.
Yeah.
But let's get back into you getting back into wrestling. You said
Yeah.
about 2013. If I'm not mistaken, that match would have been around Elimination Chamber time.
I think so, yeah. Because I went to uni in the September of 2012 and I met my friend called Harry. And he kind of was like, oh, I'm into wrestling. I'm like, oh, God, I haven't watched wrestling in years. The only thing I know about wrestling is CM Punk, and that's because my friends who were into wrestling showed me the pipe bomb, and like I knew that whole storyline. So I knew him, and I kind of had seen little bits of the Shield here and there, because obviously when you have friends who are into wrestling, you see it, you see all that stuff, even like, and I always kind of tried to keep up with things. And I was just at his house one day and he was like, oh, I'm going to show you this. And I was like, oh my God, who's that? He's like, oh, that's Dean Ambrose. I'm like, I like him. He was like, do you like him because he's pretty? I'm like, yes. And then I saw him wrestle and was like, okay, big fan. And he stuck with me. Like, he has been my favorite wrestler ever since.
Okay.
Plus, when I was, I got pregnant with Emily in 2014 in my last year of uni. So during that downtime when I couldn't go in because I was the size of a fucking whale, um, I watched a lot of WWE Network. So I caught up with everything. I watched NXT religiously. Um, I was really into Total Divas. I still am. That is my comfort show. I go back and watch that on a regular basis.
Is it a
It is
comfort or a
amazing.
guilty pleasure show? Or are you not even
Uh,
guilty about it?
no, I'm not even guilty about it. Like, I'm very open about the fact that I will gladly watch trash TV because it makes me feel better. Like, I love the Kardashians. I love um, the Real Housewives. Beverly Hills is the best one though. Of those, I will watch anything that is trashy in reality because I'm like, my life is so much better than these people. Yeah,
Kind of brings you back to reality a little
yeah,
bit.
a thing.
So what brought you to pro wrestling? Was it the spectacle of it? Are you more of an in-ring technical fan?
So when I was little, I think I really loved the characters. I still do. I love character work. Because when I was younger, I actually wanted to be in musical theatre. So the appeal of wrestling makes a lot of sense, which is, I love the character work. I really love in ring stuff, but sometimes I can forego the in ring stuff if the story is really good. Um, yeah, it's more about the characters and learning about. It's like with TV or theatre or reading a book. When you're learning about the character and you want to know why they're doing the things they're doing. Like with MJF right now, everything always makes sense because you know the character he is and he always explains why he's doing it. And I'd rather that than have a character that's just all over the place and it's like, oh, well, you people didn't support me. It's like, I literally don't care. Like, I know I did. So I know you're not talking to me. So this isn't believable to me.
Yeah, the you people.
And I hate the you people thing. I hate
But
it.
whenever it's a believable heel, like you said, MJF,
Mm,
and they're able to convey that. Who
yeah,
would you also put up there with MJF? Because like I know Miz is very good at
I
getting
love the
crowds riled
Miz.
up like that.
I love the Miz because when I started watching wrestling full time, like instead of just dipping in and out, the Miz at the time was just, oh god, he's such an asshole. Um, and he makes me hate him. Like I know that's his job. It's like when Brock Lesnar was the champ for ages. Like I knew, and I love being a mark and I love being worked. So I knew, that was being worked, but I enjoyed that. I love hating characters. I love hating the wrestlers. And if you can make me do that, and then I'm still really like, I actually can't wait to like see how this match pans out, and I really hope they lose, then you've done your job. I'm trying to think of other like bad guys because the problem is like I actually really love MJF, even though I hate MJF.
Speaking of, did you see on Twitter that person that brought him a drawing to a convention?
No.
They brought him a drawing of him, and
Oh my
he's
god.
like, he takes it, looks at it, and goes, "Oh, how long did this take you?" She goes, "About 5 hours." And as she says that, he pulls out his blue Sharpie, draws an X on it, draws over it. He does his signature, and the person literally later in the convention is walking by. He's using that picture as a coaster for his coffee.
I really love him. I love him so much. He's
I,
such an asshole.
it's good whenever you're able to convey it and bring it
Hmm.
outside of the realm of wrestling itself. It's great.
Yeah. But there's very few people who actually can do that.
Courtney said that she'd be so pissed,
Yeah, I probably would as well, but
especially
I'd
if you
be
spent
like,
5 hours.
probably taking me longer. And I'd be like, that's fine.
We actually did have a question from Chris LaBelle over on Twitter.
Oh,
Um, he has asked, What is your favorite wrestling storyline?
Oh, oh, that is difficult. Um, I'd say modern would be um, the character and development of Hangman Adam Page in AEW. I just
From sad drunk cowboy to where he is now.
well obviously it started earlier than that, so him like having his friends around and then never not feeling kind of part of the group and then winning the tag belts and then that kind of not going well, so then he turns to drink and seeing him grow as a person, but like him and Kenny's whole like year-long feud was amazing and the
Mhm.
payoff was perfect. Like they didn't mess it up. um I just, I'd say like anything that Bailey and Sasha have ever done together, from friends to foes, back to friends, and like I love that kind of storytelling. Um, I'm trying to think of others because I'm really like my brain just doesn't work. Oh, obviously when I started getting into New Japan, um, it was Kenny Omega trying to make it to the top, and also with that, I've enjoyed the storyline of Naito and like because I love
Mm,
Tetsuya Naito, I love him so much,
that
and
storyline is amazing.
seeing him constantly lose, and then eventually he got like his moment, and then Kenta went and ruined it. But I really like Kenta, so
Mhm.
it's a problem.
And you just mentioned New Japan. That goes into
Hmm.
his second question, which is what is your favorite New Japan match?
It's oh god, which one is it? So one of them is Kenny Omega versus Tetsuya Naito, and I'm trying to remember where it was because I don't think it was was it the finals of the G1 or was it the finals of their block? I can never remember, but they have this horrible table spot where they just like fall off and crash through it, and I'm
Mhm.
like, oh no, they're like hurt, but then they continue for another like 5 to 10 minutes, and I'm like, this match is incredible. I love anything
That's
they
the
do
one where
together.
Omega goes underneath the railing on the outside of the ring, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I
the one.
remember that
It's
one.
so good. Um, I love anything from Best of Super Juniors. um, every match Ishii has in in the G1. I'm trying to pinpoint them. Oh, I love Minoru Suzuki versus Jushin Thunder Liger. But I love anything that
That
those
was
two do.
amazing.
Yeah. Um. Oh. Ooh, the first Wrestle Kingdom I ever watched, which was that four-way with for the junior heavyweight title, which was Hiromu, Osprey, Kushida, and the other one,
That was
Mai.
Wrestle Kingdom 9?
Was it
Or was
9?
it Kushida's last one in New Japan, which I believe was 10?
No, Kushida's last one was the year after, I think, because he came out and Taguchi was dressed as like Dr. Brown, and it was
Oh, that's
and,
right. You're
and
right.
with the kid, and the kid had
Mhm.
like, oh my god, it was freaky.
The weird Kushida head.
Oh my god, I was way too tired to be dealing with that. I was like, it's too early in the morning, and I've had too much caffeine.
Yeah, I hadn't started gotten into New Japan until around that time. Not gonna lie, Bullet Club really brought me
Yeah,
to that dance. But since we are talking more about New Japan and other branches of wrestling, you are more well versed in Joshi wrestling than maybe anybody else in our group. Do you
yes.
want to talk up a little bit more about that?
Well, I don't even know how I got into Joshi wrestling. No, I do. So, I'd stopped watching NXT for a tiny little bit. Yeah, I think it was because we were like moving and doing stuff. And then Emily's dad Nathan turned around and went, "Oh, have you heard about this wrestler called Oscar?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't watched NXT in a while." And he was like, "You'll love her." So I started looking into her and realized that, oh, she worked in Japan. Her name was Kana over there, and uh, YouTubed a load of matches. And that's kind of how I got into Joshi wrestling. And then I was like, I saw Kari, and I was like, oh. And I'd heard about Io Shirai, and how she was like the best wrestler ever. So I started looking into Stardom stuff, and I kind of got into Stardom around the time, like, trying to think when, because I actually don't know. Because I watch it all over the place and I just look stuff up.
Mhm.
And I'm really behind on it because I haven't watched it in like 6 months. So I always ask my friend Jeff, I'm like, what's happening? Or I'll be like, yeah, no, I've been trying to keep up. I haven't watched anything. And he'll tell me something. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'm just a mess of a human, to be perfectly honest. But no, there's something about Joshi wrestling. Plus, when I was running department at an old place I used to work for, I used to run the Japanese department. So Zane, everyone knows who Zane is. He used to write about Tokyo Joshi Pro for me, and he was like, "No, I've got really into it." I'm like, "It's so good, right? It's so good." My mum, she prefers Stardom because she thinks it's a little bit more hard hitting.
I've seen some
Which
stuff from
is
Eve,
true.
and that stuff's
Yeah,
intense.
yeah. Eve is great. I love it. We have that, obviously that's like over here, and their stuff is amazing. That's how I found out about like Charlie Morgan. And Amelia Mackenzie used to be there, and I really like Eve. I love women's wrestling. Um, and I will defend it to like a point because it gets to a certain point where
To
I'm
a
like,
point.
to a point. Because sometimes I'm like, I know this isn't the performance fault, what is happening, but that's more of like a promotional issue. Like
Mhm.
most things out of Stardom is amazing. I love Tokyo Joshi Pro. It's how I found out about Maki Ito, who I just love. Um, and obviously in Stardom, I love Starlight Kid, but I wasn't really behind her much. And then she turned heel, and I was like, oh my god, no, like she needed this. Like she is so good. Um, obviously we all love Maya Itwani. She's amazing. I could just like list everyone. And obviously, I've gone back and watched stuff from the 80s because there wasn't a lot of women's wrestling in WWE. But Bull Nakano was there for a while, and her and Alondra Blaze were great together. Obviously, like I love Aja Kong. Trying to
The
remember,
two
like,
the two big hitters.
yeah, there's just also so many that I'm like, I can see their faces, but I'm really bad at pronouncing their names, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
I've heard thanks to MVP on Twitter
Mm,
actually, Manami Toyota.
yeah.
She was way ahead of her time. You
Oh
could
my god,
put her
she's
now
amazing.
and she would be phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, she was amazing. I'm still like learning because obviously there is so much that I need to like explore. And I like when I'm into something, I like to know everything about it.
Mhm.
So sometimes I'm like, oh, I've heard about this person, so I'm going to write something about them. And then that's my way of researching and learning and watching their matches and seeing things like that. Because I'm like, I don't have the time, but if I make it into an article, I will have the time
Mhm.
so I can learn.
Courtney has asked, isn't Amelia Mackenzie on NXT UK? I'm pretty sure she is.
Yes, she is now. Yeah. I've seen her live. She's amazing. Um,
And David saying that he's loving the wide range of knowledge that you have.
oh, thank you.
Um, on Courtney's question, how much of NXT UK do you catch? As Simon actually talked them up pretty well on our conversation.
Um, I don't watch any of it. I have not watched it since speaking out because there are still people there involved who, you know, kind of were outed in that, yet they didn't lose their
Mhm.
jobs. obviously, like, I understand that it's a double kind of. I don't really watch more than that. I only watch it occasionally.
Yeah, in one of our last streams, you did mention you don't watch a lot of the current WWE product.
Yeah.
What do you watch currently that you do focus on more?
I always watch AEW. I'm currently trying to catch up with Best of Super Juniors because I watch New Japan. Like, I think like I was watching WWE, but since WrestleMania, it's kind of fallen off for me. I don't really like if something isn't interesting me, I just won't watch it. That's simple.
It's understandable.
So I haven't watched it in ages. I always try and catch Impact, and if I can't watch the weekly show, I will always watch their pay-per-views. Always. Because they're really good at recapping, like with New Japan are, and AEW, like telling me what I've missed. Whereas sometimes I'm like, well, I guess WWE are good at that as well, pay-per-views. I always watch their pay-per-views. Because I got the network, so I might as well. You know.
We've got both David and Courtney saying that Austin is killing it in the Super Juniors.
Yes. Yes.
How is the Super Juniors going right now? I haven't had a chance to catch it.
It's so good. Ace Austin. I love him. I loved him the instant I saw him. I was like, he's amazing. It's actually really great to see Alex Zane there.
Oh, he's so good.
I have been a fan of his for so long, and getting to see him in a New Japan ring and just killing it, I'm like, oh, it just makes me really happy. Really happy. But I'm kind of sad that he's not in the same bracket as Despy, because I really want to see that match. But I'm also terrified that they would murder each other. So and I really love Despy.
In your opinion, what's been the best match of the Super Juniors right now?
I'm trying to think because I've only seen the first 2 days. I'm trying to catch up. So who did Despy face? Anything Despy has done.
Big Desperado fan, huh?
I'm a big fan of El Desperado. Yes, I love him. Also,
what faction does he belong to again?
Suzuki Gun.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like Suzuki Gun and LIJ. They are my factions of choice.
Oh, you're not a Bullet Club fan?
I was, but it's starting to feel a bit NWO towards the end.
Well, it's only been going for 9 fucking years.
Yeah, no, I know that. I think like a lot of choices that have been made regarding Bullet Club in the last couple of years, especially during the pandemic, were perplexing to me. So, I mean, I didn't mind Evil joining, but I'd hate this whole like thing where like he can't seem to now win a match without cheating. That makes no sense to me. Show should never have been put in Bullet Club. He should definitely have gone
wait. Shows in Bullet Club.
Yeah.
When did I miss that?
Oh my god! So Show and Yo broke up.
Because, I remember that. I remember that.
Yeah. So he's joined Bullet Club, and Yo's just like, oh, I'm sad. I can't win anything.
When did Show join Bullet Club, though? Like immediately after the breakup?
Yeah. Yeah. And I was like, why are they doing that when Suzuki Gun is right there? And he like fits in so well.
David said that Desperado's last match was TJP. Was that the match you were thinking of?
Probably, yeah. Maybe. I don't know, because I'm only on today 2. I can't remember what any of the lineups are. I'm so bad.
Hey, it's okay. With all the wrestling that we catch on a weekly basis.
Oh my god. I don't know how I have the time.
So other than New Japan and AEW, you said you caught Alex Zane beforehand. So do you also dip your toe into the independent circuit?
Yes, I do whenever I can. Which is difficult, but I love GCW. It's because I loved ECW growing up. It's kind of the natural progression for me for that. And before I had GCW, I had CZW. So yeah.
Oh, I love my old CZW. I go back and watch it so much.
I actually have DVDs here of CZW stuff. I got from WrestleGreat. And I'm like, oh, there's a John Moxley one. I'm gonna watch all of these matches.
What's your favorite time period for CZW? Because they had a lot of phases.
Yeah, I know it's really difficult because obviously, like I didn't have internet until I was like 15, 16 years old. So I'm still catching up because like I'd find stuff online. Like I know everything I know about PGW is from YouTube. So everything I've watched from CZW is also from YouTube. um,
That's how I got introduced to
oh,
them, were the compilations on YouTube.
yeah, that's how I did. And I actually found out about them because I was looking into Dean Ambrose, and I was like, oh, John Moxley, okay, like, and I was like, oh, I like this, okay.
Was that specific? Oh, I like this. Whenever you saw his ass on one of those old GCW shows.
Both. Well, it was like, oh, this is intense. Like I've watched some Japanese stuff, deathmatch wise, and I'm fine with it until certain things happen. I'm like, okay, that's gone a bit too far. That I can't deal with blades and.
Because I think I was talking with someone else recently. I'm so sorry if you're watching and I forget who it was, but I asked where they draw the line in deathmatch wrestling, and they said bladed weapons.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I can do light tubes. I can do glass panels. I can do put that person in a tank full of piranhas. Like whatever, I don't care.
The G-Raver tattoo needles.
Yeah, I can deal with that. Yeah, I just can't do like actual blades or anything to do with the eyes. That's the thing. Even in like WWE, if someone like goes near someone's eye, I'm like. Also, the Hell in a Cell match Jeff Hardy had with Randy Orton with the ear stretcher. I literally like covered my face and was like to my friend Rich, I was like, please, oh my god, tell me when it's over. And he's like, I don't want to watch.
I had my friend over and they just gotten their ears gauged, like they were stretching them. And they come over to hang out, and that's the match that he walks in seeing Jeff's ear getting twisted, and he's like, I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, I can deal with like someone getting hit over the head with light tubes, but I can't deal with like anything near the eye or ears or anything like that.
Speaking of an eye, David McKinnon brings up Rey Mysterio lost an eye. Did you watch that horrid match?
I did watch it, and it was horrible. Well, and I laughed, and I love Rey Mysterio, but I laughed. They try to make it work, bless them.
What was between the fingers? That looked like one of those little candy eyeballs that you get during Halloween.
Yeah, or yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Or there's something else, like you can get squidgy fake eyes that you can like squeeze. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of as well. Yeah. It was weird. I wasn't a fan.
So since you have such a broad spectrum of wrestling underneath your belt, who would you say are your 4 favorite performers right now?
Right now?
Everywhere around the world. Who's your 4 favorite performers?
Okay. Now I've got to try and remember, because normally I always go for like Konami, but she kind of retired but didn't. It's very confusing.
We've got Alex in the chat saying Eddie Kingston.
Yes, obviously.
Shout out Zane.
Okay, so 1 minute. So I'm gonna go with Mox, John Moxley, Eddie Kingston, Sasha Banks, and trying to think of I need a female Japanese wrestler. I need one in there. I think I'll go Starlight Kid, because she has had a fantastic year.
Oh, the one that you said you weren't too behind at first.
Yeah, but she was too like nice and smiley, even though she wears a mask. But she was like, "Yay!" and I'm like, "No." She turned heel, went all dark, and I was like, "Yes."
All right. This might be a little bit of a longer question. Well, answer wise for you.
Yeah.
Sai from the Wrestle Buddy team has asked, as a fan who has never watched Joshi wrestling, why should he and why is it so great?
Okay, so people have to realize that obviously Joshi is just the word for women's wrestling.
This is the Japanese translation for women's.
Yeah. So if you like women's wrestling, you are gonna like Joshi wrestling. It's just how it is. It isn't a particular style. Everyone thinks it is, but it really isn't, because you've got women who do really hard hitting things. You've got women who are heavily influenced by MMA. You have like fun stuff, which you get mainly in Tokyo Joshi Pro. But you know, like they're really good at comedy. You you have every style of wrestling in there. It's not a, oh, this is the Joshi style. Because if you actually put the more well known women such as like Asuka, Io, and Kabi together,
You
and
can even kind of throw Sheeta into there now.
yeah, and Shida, and you look at all those four women, their styles are not the same. Although Shida's is slightly similar to Asuka's, but that's because
They're more hard hitting.
She was trained by her.
Yeah.
So, and it's really difficult because I want people to watch that stuff, because it's the same. Like if you go and watch New Japan, you have the English commentary. You don't really in Stardom. It's all Japanese, but they are still able to convey every single thing, that even if you don't understand what they are saying, you understand like the passion they have. You understand when they're angry, you understand when they're sad, you understand when they're happy and they're like excited for something. Because I truly believe wrestling doesn't it transcends language, like with any performing art or any sport. And it's really difficult because I know a lot of people kind of just go, oh, it's just Joshi wrestling. It's like, excuse me, like Stardom have been having some of the best matches of the year. In the last year, they're like the top two promotions in Japan right now. Like, you need to go watch their stuff. And if that leads you on to like other promotions, that's great.
And there was a deal with New Japan for the last Wrestle Kingdom, wasn't there? They opened the show?
Yes, so Stardom is actually owned by the same company as New Japan.
Bushi Road.
Yeah. So the last 3 Wrestle Kingdoms, they have actually had matches. I think this was the first time it was televised.
It kind of sucks, but it's good that it was televised still.
Yeah, but they did put up. They do eventually go online. You can get them. Because the first year I think Hana Kimura was in it, and I was like, I love her. I love Hana. I've loved her for years. I'm like, oh, I love her so much. So yeah, I was like, yay! Yeah, I think Mayu Tawani is on every single one.
Yeah, I saw her on this year's, and she was phenomenal.
Oh my god! I consider her, Io, and Kabi like the 3 pillars of Stardom. I know other people probably won't agree with me, but I feel like they're the ones who've really brought Stardom to the forefront. And those 3 together, because they were all started in Stardom around the same time, and all of them have had fantastic matches with each other. And Kari's now back, and I'm like, I want Io to leave. No, I really want her to go back to Stardom.
I will say I was genuinely happy to see Kairi return. I'm still pissed with WWE that they told her no to go back on their 10th anniversary show.
Yeah, it wasn't just that. Also, she wasn't. She originally was meant to perform at the Hana Kimura Memorial Show last year, and they pulled her. WWE said she couldn't do it, but they had like a little exhibit beforehand, and it actually had the robe she wore and the umbrella, and I think it was all auctioned off. And then there's another one happening this year. So I hope Kari's on the card. I haven't actually looked at the card yet because I need to avoid any spoilers because I don't get paid till the 24th and it's happening on the 23rd.
Understandable.
Yeah, so I'm like, damn it.
Unfortunately, in the world we live in right now, we can't avoid spoilers.
I'm actually really good at it though.
I somehow still have avoided spoilers for Spider-Man No Way Home, and the movie's now out on DVD. So good job, me.
Yeah, same. I avoided spoilers for both of the last Avengers films.
Congratulations. Did you ever watch them yet or no?
Yeah, no, I've seen them now.
Okay.
But my friend, she went and I was like, okay, just tell me little bits, but don't tell me everything. So she gave me a spoiler-free version. So when I went to go and watch it, I was like, I waited until both of them were out so I could watch them back to back on Disney Plus.
Understandable.
And I watched it, and my mum fell asleep before the end of like the second one. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to rewatch this with her. And I'm like devastated. And I had to sit through the entire film and not tell her and not give anything away.
Just
and
sitting there biting your tongue.
Yeah. And then we get to near the end and she's like, what? I'm like, I've had to sit through this twice. This is my second viewing in like a day. How dare you?
Just in tears again.
I mean, I wasn't crying, but I was a bit upset. She's a little bit more of a... I'm sorry if anyone hasn't seen it yet, but just so you know, she's more of an Iron Man fan. I'm a Cap girl. I'm always going to be a Captain America girl. It's a thing. Which is funny because I'm British.
Who would you put on your Mount Rushmore? Who are your four most influential wrestlers in your opinion to the modern wrestling style?
Oh, okay. Eddie Guerrero. I'm just gonna pick like the people that influenced me.
It's hard to argue with Eddie Guerrero. So many people attribute their style and their career to Eddie. So,
well, I think that's why I like Sasha so much. Because I liked Sasha anyway, and then I heard like her favorite was Eddie, and I was like, oh my God, mine too. Oh, we're around the same age. Awesome. So I was like, I love her. So I'm trying to think. It's really difficult. Eddie was just like instant.
Hey, he deserves his spot on a Mount Rushmore.
He does. I might do it as more of like who have influenced me.
Okay.
So I would say, obviously, we're going Eddie Guerrero, Jake Roberts. Oh, and it's really difficult because I have to pick between Steve Austin and The Rock. I'll go Steve Austin.
Okay.
Because even though I love The Rock, Steve Austin. He was my guy. And think I'm gonna go with Dusty Rhodes.
That is one hell of a Mount Rushmore, man.
Yeah, and I feel bad because I didn't put any women in, but if I was gonna put a woman in,
if you want to chip in a fifth side to this mountain,
yeah, I think I would go for Lita.
Hey.
Yeah. Lita was my girl. Lita and Chyna were my girls.
That was my childhood crush. So whenever I got to see her live at the Royal Rumble, I was like,
I love her. I love her so much. Her and Chyna were like so different. That's why I like them.
Oh yeah.
I always like the girls that are a little bit different.
Earlier we talked about what brought you to the dance. You said it was the characters, like the character work. Who is your favorite character in wrestling?
Ooh.
We'll go all time and then we'll go current.
That's so hard. It's really difficult now because I guess there's not many characters. But I feel like a lot of wrestlers now just like turn up their actual personalities to like 100, which I love. I think it makes them more relatable, but I'd say all time. Oh, it's really difficult. How do you pick? Can I pick three?
Of course.
So, Jake Roberts, his character work was always phenomenal, and it always felt real.
Speak softly and carry a big boomstick.
I mean, he's awesome. I just really love Jake Roberts. And then Dusty, because of the everyman thing. I feel like that in his entire character, if it again feels very genuine. And Ric Flair,
Oh, we
because
got both ends of that spectrum.
he lived the gimmick, and I think what always worked with his like I love Ricky Steamboat, and they worked because Ricky yet again felt like an everyday man, a family man, whereas Rick, is that huge persona. That's why it worked with him and Dusty. It's all about the character work, not just what happens in the ring. And he lived the gimmick. Like, oh, I really love good characters. Because Ric Flair is another one who I really hate, but I also really love. Like MJF is. Like MJF, I would say modern day is one of the best characters because he does the best heel work and he lives the gimmick. At least to us, the audience.
Yeah.
Obviously,
anytime a camera can be rolling, he is in gimmick.
Yeah, exactly, and I love that. I would also say I love this character that Seth has been for the last year and a half. Like he's just slowly.
I think he's been doing that for about a
insane.
year and a half.
Yeah, like he is slowly going insane. Also, I really did appreciate the fact that his match against Roman at was it the Rumble? And he came out with the Shield music, and he was dressed in the gear, and I was like, yes.
Me and my brother were actually jumping up and down whenever we heard that music. My brother was almost in tears.
Oh my god. It worked. It worked so well with the feud and the way the character was and yet we're sitting here and Roman still hasn't beaten Seth, so I'm waiting. I'm waiting for that to happen. I do love the tribal chief though. I feel like when Roman came back,
would that be the third character you would put up there?
Maybe. I'm not quite sure because it's really difficult. Because also I love the character. Becky Lynch is one of my favorites as well.
Okay.
And I loved seeing the transition from the plucky baby face into the man. And I was like, oh wow, yeah, no, this is who I've been talking about. I've been telling everyone how good she is, and now you all see it. And now she's kind of just cocky and like in her own hype, and I love that. So maybe Becky Lynch, actually.
All right.
Yeah, I love the Becky character, like because it's another one of the things. Like the reason I love Seth as a character is because you've seen the transition. Like those characters are always like Chris Jericho, always changing. They're still the same character. They're still the same person.
Just a different persona.
Yeah, because they're evolving. Because everyone evolves, everyone grows, everyone changes, and they show that. Because no one wants to like see like I don't like Hulk Hogan, and it's like, oh wow, you're literally the same character no matter what. It's kind of boring.
David McKinnon has asked, what are your thoughts on Dan Hausen?
I love Dan Hausen. I love him. He is very nice. He is very evil. I actually told my kid that when the Tooth Fairy comes, because she was like, "Where did the teeth go?" I was like, "Oh, she takes them to Danhausen because Danhausen like has a jar of teeth." And she was like, "Oh, that's cool," because she loves Danhausen. I love I love characters, and Danhausen's funny. He got himself over like I don't even know how he did it, but he's so good. His in-ring work is actually amazing. I can't wait for everyone to see how good he is in the ring if you haven't seen him yet. I love the whole curse thing, but I'm a spooky girl. I love stuff like that. It's just fun. Plus, I'm really enjoying this Hookhausen thing, because you know Dan Hausen's kind of like weird, and he doesn't shut up, which I totally understand.
And Hook has said a total of 2 words since he's
Yeah,
been on screen.
that voice, I was not expecting that voice to come out of him. And then I saw the picture of them with Maki Ito, and I was just like, no, this is the only trio I care about. The only one. Like,
Strap the belts on him, Tony.
Yeah, make a trios title and just let them be the trios champions. Like, I don't care if Maki Ito is a woman. Like, F it. Like, give it to me.
She's got that surgically inserted skull.
Yeah, exactly. She's a hard head. I love her. I love her as well. I love them because they're really great in ring workers, but it feels like they've gone back to like these are characters.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I love those 3 together. Look really cool. So I would really like that. I'd really like them to win the trios titles. I don't care. Bring the titles in and let them win. Also, make the trios titles intergender, please, because we have a ton of women who are also in trios. Like, hi, the baddies would look sick with those titles.
Not only that, you got some badasses on there too. Like Penelope Ford can hang with some of the best of them.
Oh my god, I love Penelope Ford. I think she is vastly underrated, and I want everyone to wrestle her. She's great. She makes me happy. So, and I can't wait for the eventual whatever the hell's going on with Kip Sabian, because I love Kip. I have seen him live back in the day in like a tiny little venue. He is incredible.
How many live shows have you seen?
Not that many, actually. Every single one I've been to, El Phantasmo has been on the card. Yeah. So, hold on, I'm trying to think. So there was my first one ever, where I met Cody. I also tried to convince Papa Shango to give me his hat.
Can I?
I was like, can I have it? And he was like, no. I'm like, but I want it. Give it to me. Also, Bruce Pritchard did tell me he liked me, so that was a whole thing. And then
did he tell you he liked you, or did he tell you he loved you?
No, not like that. I think it's because I told Conrad off because he said something. I was like, no, I'm not a child. Yeah, I don't give a fuck who you are. Like, I'm one of those people like, oh, you've been in the industry for how long? I don't care. Like, whatever. Like, you're just a person to me. Whatever. And then I went to a double show where I got to see Pac. Pac was the bad guy, and I was cheering him the entire time. Everyone else was like, boo, because he was facing El Phantasmo. And I was like, no, yay, Pac, he's the best. And then I high-fived El Phantasmo afterwards. The match was really good. And then, I went to the New Japan show at the Copper Box.
Ooh, how was that?
Really good. I got to see Minoru Suzuki. And also, I was surrounded by guys, because I went with, like, my friend who was a girl and her other half at the time. But we were surrounded by like guys. Oh, there was this one girl, and she was like screaming for Naito, and I was like, "Shut the fuck up!" She was so like screechy squealing.
It just couldn't handle it.
Oh no, I told her to shut up. I couldn't handle it. But when Minoru Suzuki's music came on, like, I can't recite it now, but if you put the music on, I can probably sing most of it. And people were like,
I will say, Kazai ni Nare, I'm really waiting for the one time I get the words down, so that way I can use it for spoken songs on Quiz Buddies. Yeah. I'm just waiting to get the pronunciations down.
Oh my god, it's so difficult. And plus, you can kind of get away with it. But actually at that show, because we didn't have commentary, they were... Okada did do some of, like, was it Okada or was it Suzuki? I can't remember. It was a while ago. It was before the pandemic and my brain's broken now. One of them was speaking in Japanese, and my friends looked at me and went, what? And I'm like, hold on, I do not speak Japanese, but I bet you I can tell you exactly what they're having a conversation about. And then when it came out and we had the English commentary, and Chris Charlton, who I love, his books are fantastic. So if you ever get the chance, read his books about the Tokyo Dome and about the history of New Japan, which is, I can't remember what it's called. Eggshells is really good. That's the one about the history of the Tokyo Dome.
I've heard excerpts from it.
Oh my god, those books are amazing. Yeah, once we had him and he was like translating, my friend looked at me and went, how did you get most of that vibe? I'm like, I guess I've watched enough New Japan to kind of figure it out. Yeah.
All right, Bam. We've got 5 minutes left. It's been already an hour.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, we've flown by this.
I know.
But now it's time for us to ask the final question. Bam, why do you love pro wrestling?
Why? I don't even know. It's difficult to put into words. I love everything about it. As someone who grew up watching musical theatre and loving musical theatre, and also like sport is me and my nan's thing that we always watch, it kind of combines my love for all these other things, and because like you have so many different characters, and inside the ring, it's like you're going on an adventure. So it's like an adventure story. It's not just sport. And sometimes you're telling us this just, and I did dance. So I guess that kind of goes into, it's really difficult to explain. There's something about pro wrestling that makes me happy. It makes me sad. It makes me feel things. And I think that's why I love it. Plus, I don't have to sit there, like, I love reading, but I don't have to sit there and read a whole book. I can get a whole story in 20 minutes from start to finish inside of a ring because of the way people are moving and what they're doing, or even like when they're talking to each other in promos. It's the same premise as why I love films. Plus, I can sit there and totally analyze everything, and I love analyzing stuff. It's really difficult to put into words why I love pro wrestling. I just love it. It just makes me happy. I think that's the best way to put it.
It unequivocally brings emotion, and you're able to feel it no matter what you're feeling. You're feeling high, you're feeling low. Wrestling is able to match that.
Yeah, and when I'm feeling down, I have my matches that I go and watch that make me feel happy, which is always Eddie Guerrero. When he won the belt off Brock Lesnar. It's Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio at Halloween Havoc. And the one whenever me and my mum are both really, really sad is Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam. Because it makes us laugh every single time. And I feel like if something can make you laugh, then go for it. Also, the Royal Rumble, was it 2005? 2005, yeah, 2005 Royal Rumble.
Cena Batista?
Yep, it's the best Royal Rumble. Also because of the end.
With it being completely unscripted and them having to figure out how.
Yeah, because you got the first bit where Eddie, Benoit, and Hardcore Holly beat the crap out of someone. And then at the end, like, Vince blows out his quads. It's perfect. It's a perfect Royal Rumble. It's my favorite.
All right. And with that, we have come to the conclusion of today's episode. I want to thank absolutely all of you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Bam, for sitting here and shooting the shit with me today.
I will always shoot the shit. It's my whole thing.
Bam, I'm going to give you a minute to plug whatever you would like, wherever else people can find you. And go ahead.
Oh, well, you can find me on Twitter at Bam in Real Life. Obviously, I write occasionally for Wrestlebuddies. You can find my stuff there. You can find my stuff at What Culture, which is crazy still. And my website, Lace 'em Up. We have a Twitter and we have a website, and there's some really cool writing on there from people that are my friends. And I'm really bad. I'm terrible at remembering the. Oh, what is the address? Oh, the address is still baminreallife.com because I haven't changed it yet. But yeah, there's great stuff on there. They're amazing. I love the guys who are writing for me. Would like some more women, so like hit me up if you're a woman writer. I totally will bring you on board. just plugging myself. It's weird.
No worries. And once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. This is the part where I tell you all to stay safe, stay healthy, stay hydrated. Make sure you check out all of our articles at wrestlebuddy.com. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Watch out for Facebook. Someone hacked us a while ago.
Oh yeah.
And I want to say a very special early happy birthday to Mr. Kevin Davis in the chat. He just let us know his birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday.
And with that, we will send you guys off. Catch us in just an hour. We're going to be live again for the first episode of The Captain's Table, where I will hopefully get this time machine to get me out of 2004 and back into 1983. So this is where I will wave. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye.